Today, Scorched Earth Toys is taking a look at Sentinel's Riobot 1/48 scale tread, released in July 2025 for 42,000 yen. That is a lot, but this is a lot of toy. If you're wondering if it's a tread or a tled, pause and read this paragraph. And if you know it as a Robotech beta, that's okay too, because this is Sentinel's first product that is also licensed by Harmony Gold. Maybe we'll see a Robotech version reissue. Time will tell. The box is a little larger than the Legios Alpha. I'm just gonna butcher that vehicle's name every time, so just accept it and move on. Anyways, this box is a little bit bigger than that box, but the artwork continues to be top notch. Like Sentinel's other boxes, there are no frills. There are no flip-top lids. There is very thin cardboard. It just serves its purpose. If you purchase directly from the Sentinel store, your toy will come with 2 sets of missiles and have an exclusive sticker on the cover. All toys have a first tray that includes the toy as well as a pilot figure, which unlike the Legios pilots, this one isn't articulated. You get 2 pairs of fixed posed hands, and articulated hands are already installed on the toy. There is a plate to prevent the toy from rolling when you put it on your broken shelf. I don't know why you would do that. That's a silly thing to do, but you have a plate that stops it from rolling away. Working down to the second tray, you'll find the display stand consisting of a base plate and an arm with a part that connects that arm to that base plate. There's a display stand adapter for the tread. You get a connector for the Legios when it's combined. And there's optional connection reinforcement pieces for either fighter and soldier mode, as well as a pry tool. Also in the box is a full color set of instructions adorned by that beautiful cover art. And if you purchase the Sentinel Shop exclusive version, you also receive 2 pairs of missiles that use the same hardpoint connectors as the Legios toys, so you can swap them however you want. One quick moment on the missiles since they are exclusive, and then we'll move on. There are hard points on the top of the wing, 2, and there are 3 hard points on the bottom. So even if you get the exclusive missiles, you're only going to get 2 sets, which means you're still going to have lots of empty hard points. It is cool that the missiles do fit on the hard point that also works for the Legios. And these missiles, as I showed you in a picture already, do separate independently, but they do have a really big tab that gets left on there. So a cool extra to have included with the exclusive version. My hope is that, it's not enough since we have all these extra hard points, and it'd be really cool to have this tread just totally decked out in missiles. So my hope is that either the green or red versions, if they ever make them, they can include a lot more weaponry to make those releases a little more appealing for everyone else that already has a blue version. On the right, we have the non-articulated figure that comes with the tread. Also has a big peg in the back to slot into the seat. On the left, we have the articulated figure. You can see they're the same size, same sculpt, and this figure will fit in the tread. Maybe it's because of that peg. Maybe it's because if it wasn't in this position exactly, you could damage your cockpit putting it in. But this is the figure we get. And what would have been really cool, in my estimation, is if they had given us a Ray with his ride armor or Rand with his Cyclone to round out the team. But instead, we just get this could be Rand, could be Scott figure. We do have an opening cockpit on the tread. I've got it in its fully extended version here. We can take our pilot figure and we can put him into this seat. And you can see there is that groove in the back to receive that peg that I just pointed out. Put him in firmly, get his feet where they belong, and then it sort of slides up and in, which is all very cool. And boom, now we have him in. Now, unfortunately, all you really see out of the cockpit canopy are his feet. So some might argue maybe that should have been an opaque covering so it wasn't so obvious you're just looking at his feet. But still cool that a full-size pilot figure is fitting inside the front of that tread. But there's an extra trick to the cockpit as well. There's another nail slot up in the top, and here we can open this up and see that pilot figure, and okay, that's cool enough, I guess. But what makes it even cooler is if we pop open this piece, and we had this vehicle in the ready to connect mode, like so, then you might be like, well, what happens if this guy needs to eject while there's a Legios in the front? And we could pop this up now, and don't want to push it too hard. There we go, push that up. And then we could pop it open, and that would be how you eject in the middle of a battle if you had connected to a Legios. At this point, you've no doubt noticed that my toy just keeps trying to roll away on its own. It is ridiculous. I mean, stay in one place, won't you? Well, that must be why we have this piece here, which connects to the display stand adapter for the tread and allows us to come in underneath the legs, I guess, and put that down, and then we can just readjust our landing gear. And now finally it's gonna stay in one spot. Now, I do love to criticize toys that sit on the ground when they're allegedly on their landing gear, and you can probably see that this tread is very close to the ground. It's kind of curious because if we could bring these in a little bit, you can get a lot more clearance from the ground. So it really seems like they just let them flare out a little too far. But the fact we have integrated landing gear on a tread toy for the first time, and it's not laying on the ground, I am incredibly impressed, even if it is very, very close to the ground. And check out these landing gear mechanisms. We have a rear door here. We have a post that supports that front landing gear. You can see metal landing gear, rubber tires that spin freely. We can close that. And then coming to the back, how in the world is that landing gear gonna go back into this toy? Well, it's a really ingenious mechanism here. We have the ability to pull up, which then allows this to rotate forward and then push back to lock into place. We have another trap door up here that opens up, and we have a lock mechanism that I can slide forward there, bring this up, and then pivot it inward into that leg cavity, and then just close up both of these doors again, and boom. What an amazing bit of engineering to get that line art accurate landing gear to work. If you are gonna play with the toy in bomber mode, and sure, why not? You would go ahead and then recess that front connecting boom there, and now I have it in flying bomber mode. A few little fun factor elements. First of all, rock solid. This thing is not wiggling, nothing's popping out. Very handling friendly toy. Nice big locks on the back of these legs, keeping everything up and in position. Really high marks there. We also have articulated nozzles for all of the booster engines, which is cool. And then flipping the toy under, there's some line art out there that shows these little panels popping open and doing a little VTOL action, obviously in space. That would help you with maneuvering as well. So again, just clearly a lot of love going into this toy to emulate those elements that you know, no other toy manufacturer has even come close to doing in the past. We also have the ability to open up these missile bays right here, like so, and you can wiggle jiggle them to get them nice and high. And then of course we have these missile bays as well, which you can pull forward and then down. And so lots of fun weaponry there. And if you were so inclined, you could also lift up on this and go ahead and have that weaponry in play as well. This is the first tread that can be displayed on its included display stand in bomber mode. So that's nice. There is the ability to rotate. There are the different pivot points in the display stand. So we can make this taller and we can angle it back. And if we had this twisted sideways, then it would be able to have a banking pose. But as you can see, there's this 660 grams teetering on top of a display stand that can barely support the weight. So as I move it, it bobs around. But again, it's nice you at least have that ability for the freebie stand. All right, you're looking at arguably 3 1/48 scale treads, and you're looking at that saying, but they're radically different in size. What's going on? We have 26 centimeters, about 22, and I don't know, a little less than 18 over here. How could they all be 1/48 scale? Well, the Toonami is a little bit big. Now, wingspan wise, it's 43 centimeters to the Sentinel's 45, so the Sentinel actually has a beat in that category. But the production of the show is kind of complicated. The tread was a last minute ad, and it seemed like the creators of the show were moving the size around as it went. So any one of these could be 1/48 scale. There was a very small size depicted, and I think technically that was considered the correct size. So this would be 1/48. When Robotech came out and started producing statistics for the tread, these two would be much more accurate in size. And there's drawings from pre-production where the tread was even bigger than this. So don't get too hung up on scale. Theoretically, they're all close enough. I do have a separate transformation video. This is sort of just a VTOL mode. It's not really a diver mode. It doesn't have arms out. It doesn't look like it's very offensive in any particular way. This would be the mode it would land in anywhere other than a runway. And it's probably a good for if you wanted to have your toys all out and make it look like everybody was hanging out together or something. This would be a good pose for that. But otherwise, this mode is kind of silly, and we're just gonna blast on through to Soldier. All right, here we are in Soldier mode. You can see the Toonami and the Sentinel both 24 centimeters tall at about the same size. The CM's toy, 20 and change centimeters tall. A Legios, 16.5 for Sentinel. You could see how everything comes together here. And you could also see that the Sentinel is by far the best looking soldier mode of the group. And again, the question of, is this the right scale is still valid? And again, there is line art that does show the tread being about this size. So I'm gonna say, you know, close enough. Head and neck articulation are awkward. You can bring the head up and down, and you can twist a little to the left and right. But then if you tilt the head way forward, you can twist much further left and right. And it's not a ball joint, so you can't just like cock the head in either direction. But by having it tilted and looking off to the side, it looks kind of cocked. The arms also have some interesting issues. You cannot bring the arm straight down. It has to be out at a little bit of an angle. And viewing from the side, you can see where that shoulder joint stops. So that's as far as you can go. If you want to go higher than that, you would rotate the arm around and then spin the arm this way, and then you can come up like so, which is fine, but it's just a little workaround. Now that shoulder clearly rotates, and that will help you out. And then you have that twist point right below it, and you can twist where the arm meets the elbow there. So that elbow can then come down and around, and you can do quite a bit with these arms. It's just, it takes a little getting used to where those pivot points are and those rotation points. But once you do, you definitely have very dynamic arms to deal with. We can get that full would-be 180 if you didn't have such a big forearm slant going. Now this is gonna be my chance to show you the one durability issue I have, or build issue. The hand pivots around inside, and unfortunately, my peg that holds this hand on is kind of loose, and it will pop out as I rotate the hand around sometimes, or if I'm articulating the hand, but we can use that to our advantage right now. Here you can see you have that ability to swivel, then you have the hinged wrist connected via a ball joint, And then you have the 4 front fingers, but they can't quite come tight like a fist. And you have that thumb, which has this range of motion there. So enough to have a lot of natural looking open hand poses, but not enough to make a fist, or it might be enough to hold a weapon if we had one, which we do not. But if you've got some other toys that maybe have something compatible, that will be your opportunity. We do, of course, also have the ability to open the missile bays in soldier mode. And again, get a fingernail in here and bring up these missile bays as well. And there you have it. A little bit more fun for your poses. The engineering of this toy is phenomenal. Definitely check out that transformation guide. We do have the back end of our connecting boom right here, which we can pull away from the body, which then enables a waist joint, which is pretty stiff, but that waist joint offers a huge range of swivel, which you will have a lot of fun with as you pose. The hips are a little bit of a letdown. They are nice and sturdy, first of all, and I think that's the most important thing. They are stiff. They're gonna hold the toy in whatever position you want, which is great, but you can only angle the leg outwards so far, and there's no other twist point in this leg, so that's as far as you're gonna twist. And then from an outward angle, that's as far as we can get. And this is particularly problematic if you're gonna be using this toy in the connected mode and you wanna go for really aggressive outward sweep on diver. There's some art that's really impressive that looks like that. And it's a shame that we can't angle this just a little further out to capture those really wide stances. Now, to prove that this is a very tight joint though, you can of course bring the leg all the way forward, and look, that's a pretty heavy leg that's just sticking up, no problem there. And we can bring it all the way back, and again, very stiff, solid joint, so a lot of enjoyable handling there. The knees on this toy are garbage. You can bring them back that far. We can open this up and get a little bit further, but still very, very poor articulation on the knee. Better articulation going the other direction, like much better. But that backwards articulation, just a complete fail. Unfortunately, toe articulation doesn't help make up for that poor knee articulation. We can go left and we can go right, but shockingly, there's like no up and down motion. So if you wanted to have that toy angled a little bit this way, there's no real ability to angle the toe to help give you some more stability. So you end up doing sort of a balancing act, which it's more than capable of. Again, those hips being so solid is a huge relief. Coming to the back, again, like a little left and right action. And we have this toe, which can go in and out, but really not doing much anything. So there's this, you got a little bit of forward back play, but you don't have real individual toes that can help come down and stabilize the toy. So wasn't too thrilled with the hip down articulation. To use the included fixed posed hands, you're just gonna pull off the existing articulated hand. Here we could see the size difference, a little bit beefier on your fixed posed hand than your included articulated hand, and just a ball joint that's going to plug in, and there you go. Finish your firing look by just poking these barrels up just a little bit to get them clear of the front of that hand. And there you have it. Still an impressive looking piece, even with the limited lower body articulation. But let's take a pause and say, what do we have so far? If you don't have a Legios, you get basically an ugly bomber figure and a limited articulation soldier figure for a lot of money. So really where this toy earns its keep is in the connection. So let's check that out. For those of you into the weird stuff, you can bring the bar back flat and push it forward. A trapdoor opens in the front of the pelvis. You can then pull that all the way out, flip this little part up, and we could take our Legios with the VTOL vent removed and that pushed back. And we just push that in like so. And what's really impressive here isn't so much this baby Bjorn mode that we've got everything in, but the fact that the hips are strong enough to hold this all upright, even in this very peculiar mode. Let's go ahead, transform the tread, and look at some things that we'd recognize from the anime. There are 3 options for connecting soldier mode. I go over them all in my connection and transformation video. This piece here is meant to grab the nose cone to make things a little tighter when you bring it all together, or you could push it down and that enables that waist articulation, and this is kind of how I had it for that baby Bjorn mode, and then you just push it tight, and so that's what it would be like. But you could see it's struggling to stay on the display stand, and that's when you're going to grab your other arm that came with the Legios toy. Well, before I put it on the display stand, I should show that I can play with it. Yeah, I mean, that's freaking cool. It's got an integrated arm. It just latches on and everything works. Are you kidding me? I mean, that honestly, it's very impressive. All right, let's put it on the display stand and so I can complain about some more stuff. So there's a fast and dirty approximation of that really fun line art that shows the tread behind the Legios and doing sort of a diver mode. But these legs get really far flared out in that art. And as you can see here, I'm just able to get them outside of the legs, which is good. I mean, you could at least get it that far and actually pull the pose off. But it'd be more fun if you can get it out there and look a little bit more wild with it. Still, this thing connects perfectly fine without any sort of attachment part. The display stand, though flimsy, is doing what it needs to do to hold everything up, so that's fun. Lots of different pose options, tons of articulation, nothing uninhibited by the tread and the connection. So this is an amazing piece, either as the Backpack of Doom or getting itself into the action by using those legs and arms at a tilt. All right, let's go ahead and throw on fighter mode and check that out. Can the combined vehicle sit on the tread's landing gear? You bet it can, and it looks good doing it too. So really good start to the combined fighter mode. And then, but if I pick it up, is it going to sag? No, nothing sags. It is amazing. It handles perfectly well. Look, it's not rattling. It's on there solid. This thing is fantastic, very playable. You can access these missiles up top. You can have some fun with it. I am very impressed. And now we'll go ahead and put it on that display stand. And here we have it all elevated on a display stand. I've added that weaponry that is exclusive to the Sentinel shop. And I think it looks amazing. The stand still wobbly. If you want to do a banking pose, you absolutely can. So now let's talk about this. As an accessory to a Legios, it's hard to imagine things being much cooler than this. All of the integrated engineering, no tread has ever come close to being nearly as cool as this toy is. And it feels like it's got better plastic quality than any previous tread, better joints and stiffness. All around, this thing is easily the best tread we have ever gotten. Now, if you're not viewing it as an accessory to a Legios or Legios or Robotech Alpha, whatever you want to call it, it is decidedly less awesome as just a bomber and a limited articulation soldier mode. So I'm thrilled to own one. It's one of my top 3 Mospeada toys now, I think. But if you're out there, you're not a huge Mospeada fan, this is an incredibly expensive toy. And you have to make the investment into a Legios, which is another like 200 plus bucks potentially. And it just adds up and most people can get away with just owning the Legios Alpha toy because that was by far the more predominant vehicle in the show. I love it. I'm happy. I'm happy to recommend it to all beta/tread fans. For the rest of you, there's probably other toys on your list that cost a lot less and are going to be just as enjoyable or more enjoyable for you. If this was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. If I missed something, please leave me a comment. And if you like transforming toys, if you like mecha toys, please subscribe. Thanks everybody for watching.